In today's episode, we will be speaking with PTU member Arla Connell. Arla volunteered in the summer of 2025 in the CTF FCA project Teaching Together. If you are interested in volunteering, listen to this episode and always know that every summer CTF FCA is seeking English and French speaking teachers at the elementary and secondary levels who are interested in volunteering their time and talents to offer professional development in service programs in partnership with teaching organizations in Africa and the Caribbean. Each year, over 50 Canadian teachers are chosen to volunteer in the program, which will take place in July. La CTF-FCE est à la recherche d'enseignantes et enseignants francophones et anglophones des paliers primaires et secondaires qui souhaitent faire don de leur temps et de leur talent afin d'offrir des programmes de perfectionnement professionnel en partenariat avec des organisations de l'enseignement en Afrique et aux Caraïbes. Chaque année, plus d'une cinquantaine de membres de la profession enseignante du Canada seront choisis pour participer bénévolement au programme qui se déroule en juillet. Hello, Arla. Welcome.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, and I'm so happy I finally had the chance to meet you at the QPAT convention. After many conversations, it was a pleasure to meet you in person, face to face. So Arla, please share with us, first of all, before we get into your experience with Teaching Together, how did you find out about it? How did it come to your eyes or to your ears? How did you find out about it?
So I received the email.
Okay.
The email, I believe it was from Evelyn Landry.
Okay, from QPAT.
She was the one who sent it out, and Evelyn was so kind to me because I had had a few questions, and so we had a little bit of back and forth, and she was really wonderful supporting that process. And yeah, as soon as I saw the email, I thought, this is something I want to do.
Okay, so you had something inside of you that's like, yes, telling you to go with this. Oh, that's cool. Okay, and so tell us a little bit about your experience because it was your first time participating in 2025. So please tell us what was that like?
It used to be called Project Overseas.
Yes.
And it was that name for a few years. And then they just this year changed the name to Teaching Together because it seemed to have more of an inclusive sense about it, teaching together.
Yes.
And I think that works really well as a name because what you need to keep in mind is that it is not us going over there to impart our knowledge and kind of lead everything. We are going to be partners with a partner union wherever it is that you end up going. And so I was in a country called the Gambia. It's a very small country surrounded by Senegal.
Okay.
And we were a team of 4. I had my team leader, Caitlin. I have her permission to, I have all their permissions to use their names. So I had Caitlin, she was my team leader, and she was from Manitoba.
Okay.
And another team member was Kathy from Toronto. And another team member, Jody from Alberta. And then me from Quebec. And we were put together and sent to the Gambia for 2.5 weeks to co-facilitate teacher training for their young teachers, for their new teachers. You had to have less than 5 years of teaching to be in this program in the Gambia. And so we were with all these young, new Gambian teachers.
Oh my goodness, how amazing was that? And how many were there about?
So we ended up having 2 locations. The first place we went to was called Fairfenny, and there were probably close to 40 teachers that we were in contact with, working with every day. And then our co-facilitators were a part of the Gambia Teachers Union, GTU. And so we were paired with somebody from the GTU to co-facilitate these presentations. We did a presentation on classroom management. We did a presentation on collaboration and what that means in education. We did another presentation on leadership and what that means in education. And so we weren't standing alone in front of these Gambian teachers. We were partnered with somebody from their union, standing side by side, uh, coming up with a lesson plan, how to kind of present this information that we shared to their new teachers. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. You kind of go into it not knowing what to expect. And I think that was one of my favorite things is being partnered. One of my partners was Alphaba. And he and I would sit together and plan this lesson on classroom management, and then we would present it to these teachers together.
How amazing is that? And imagine, I'm thinking of being a new teacher in their shoes. They're getting this message that's done like a partnership, a collaboration from their union and from these teachers from Canada. I mean, I think how beautiful that is, like the partnership doing that together. And I'm curious, your team, the team that you were sent there with, the four of you, I believe. You said you were four or
Yep.
five. Okay. Did you meet them beforehand or how did that work?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I found out back in December that I would be going to the Gambia, we had our first online team meeting.
Okay.
I believe it was probably in January or possibly February, and it was online. It
Okay.
was with all the teachers from all over Canada. Um, and then Beverly, who is the head of the Teaching Together program at CTF, we had this big meeting of all the people going to all the different countries. And then we would also have Zoom meetings just with our team and doing team building activities via Zoom, which was new to me, but so important in the process. Your team becomes your lifeline when you're over there, right? You become very quickly close and counting on each other, and that's a really important thing to keep in mind for anybody who's thinking of applying, is you really have to give yourself up to the needs of the team. You're
Mm,
no longer teachers, we can feel very solitary sometimes in our classrooms, but
mhm.
this experience is very much a uh, team effort, team experience. You're living together with these 3 or 4 people for 2.5 weeks. And so the dynamic and the give and take and the patience and expressing your needs and your good days and your bad days, it becomes very important. And uh,
I
and
can
our
feel
team
like
leader, Caitlin,
how beautiful it is to care, to know that you are cared for in this experience. You have people who have your back and that you are doing the same thing for them. And that must be such it brings you so much security knowing that, I'm assuming.
it's a big part of the program too. So we spend the first 3 days in Ottawa doing training with CTF and with our team on how to get along as a team
Mm,
and how to manage your interactions with the union members of the country that you're going to. So there's a lot of thought and a lot of training that goes into the team before you depart, which I really appreciated. I enjoyed that those first 3 days in Ottawa. I wasn't expecting it, and I really enjoyed it.
yeah, it must make you feel like that extra sense of being prepared prior to arriving, as opposed to arriving and, wow, I'm in a new place. I don't know these people. Like that might be too much. So that's really amazing.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important point too, that um, oftentimes teams going to various countries would talk about how they weren't really sure of the content that they were going to present when they were in their country, because sometimes you don't know until maybe a few weeks before you're actually going to leave, or in our case, we found out about a month ahead of time what our topic would be. But because you're co-facilitating, you can't really prepare a lesson plan or exactly what you're going to do here you have to wait until you're with your co-facilitator to kind of have time to sit together and decide what you're going to do. And so I would say that that was one of the challenges that a lot of people experienced is not being sure of exactly what they were going to have to do when they got there.
Sure.
So again, the patience of just waiting and waiting to meet with your co-facilitator before knowing exactly what you were going to do on the days of your presentations.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so, what would a typical day look like for you while you were there?
So we would usually wake up at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we would be picked up by one of our drivers. So we would get all of our things ready, and we would have our fans with us, our manual fans, because it was very, very warm. And we would pile into the truck, and our driver, Usman, he would drive us to the location that we would be at for the day. And we would arrive there probably around 9. And that's when we would have breakfast, and participants would slowly trickle in. And it's almost like your classrooms, your students trickle in and you say good morning, and you ask them how their evening was. It was very, very warm. They wanted to really connect with us. We wanted to connect with them. And so we would have breakfast all together and have coffee and, meet with our co-facilitator and just go over the plan for the day. And then usually by about 9:30, 10 o'clock, we would start our sessions. And sessions would go about 2 hours, and then we'd break for lunch and we would all eat lunch together.
Mm.
And then we would have an afternoon session of another 2 hours. So, for example, if I was teaching classroom management, my session might be in the morning. And then if one of my teammates was doing the leadership workshop, she would be teaching in the afternoon, but I would also be there to support whoever else was presenting. And so we really worked as co-facilitators, all of us together. Whenever somebody else in the team was teaching or presenting, we would also be circulating and kind of backing them up a little bit. And then we would be back at our rooms at the hotel, probably maybe about 4 o'clock, and we would have dinner all together, and sometimes we would go for a walk in the community with somebody from the Gambia Teachers Union, and then we would be exhausted and go to bed. Yeah.
That's so amazing. And I love the idea of breaking bread with the student teachers, those who are wanting to become teachers, and with your team. I mean, how amazing is that? And that's probably when a lot of the conversations happen. That's when you really find out like, okay, what's going on? And that's really cool.
And
And
I really found that I wasn't shy, but I was a little bit hesitant. Like uh, I didn't know how much time we would have together with the participants. And what I really enjoyed was the pace was a little bit slower. There wasn't this frenetic kind of crazy pace. It was just enjoying each other and getting to know one another. And I really, really enjoyed that part. We made some really nice connections with the people that we worked with there.
and for you, what was there's probably many, but what was something that really surprised you about the experience?
Ooh, so, oh yeah. I think I was the most surprised at how close, you know that you're going into something that you've never done before, and you're going to be building these relationships, but I didn't realize just how intense of a relationship it would be with your teammates.
Okay.
So I'm gonna repeat it again because I found it so important, is that we became really, really close, really fast. And I was surprised at how much I needed them and
Hmm.
how much they needed me. I had never been to the continent of Africa before, so I didn't know what to expect. Two people on our team had already been. One had done teaching together before, the other had just gone traveling. And so, I thought I was a very brave and flexible person. And then you arrive there and you have situations where, okay, access to water, or access to just going for a walk and having some alone time. Those were challenging things to not necessarily have access to anymore, you know? And so my teammates, we really had to come together and support each other. Uh, if there was a really hot day, for example, there were some days that were so hot. And, you know, we're not used to that, but you have to work through it. You know, you still have to do your presentations. There's no air conditioning. You still have to be ready to support your co-facilitator. And that's when you turn to your team from Canada and you say, "Oh, I'm really feeling it today."
Yes.
And you back each other up. And there were some days when some people were not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just had to step up and last second, okay, you can't present today, so I'm going to present on your behalf. And you really just have to be ready for that.
Wow. Um, what would be, I'm hearing a few things. I'm hearing you definitely have to be a team player. You have to have a lot of flexibility because you're going there and it's a partnership. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking, well, I'm interested in applying? What advice would you give that individual?
I would say apply.
Love
Definitely
it.
apply. Um, and you have to be ready to not be the teacher you are here.
Ah,
You have to be ready to be a different kind of teacher. You have to be ready to wait and be asked uh, your opinion on how to present something.
yes.
Because, for example, a co-facilitator came to me and said, I know this was the plan. This was about half an hour before we went on. I know this was the plan, but I'm thinking I'd rather do this. And my teacher, my Canadian teacher, would have panicked.
What? This is not the
What
plan.
are what are you talking about? But my Gambian co-facilitator inside of me said, okay, I'll
Mm,
follow your lead and I'll do what you need me to do. And it was quite liberating, actually. I learned a lot about myself. So
yes.
yeah, be flexible, be patient, but the challenges definitely out. The challenges that you'll face, the experience is still worth it.
Oh, that's amazing. Talk about really stepping outside of your comfort zone, and
Yes.
just, but like you said, you can discover all these other parts of yourself. You probably even surprised yourself in a lot of instances.
Yes, definitely. Yep. And so then you come back here and there are these things that you've learned about yourself and the teaching profession that you realize, okay, I really love in the Gambia, for example, I really love the way that students are taught to stand up in front of a group and express themselves. It's a very important part of their culture.
Okay.
And so they're very comfortable getting up and just speaking to a crowd and talking about how they're feeling.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, okay, so that's we're not so inclined to do that all the time. And so I brought that back to my classroom and I've invited my students to kind of hone their presentation skills, um, having been influenced by what I witnessed there in the Gambia.
And how are they receiving that?
Um, well, you know,
Anything that's
there
new, right?
yeah, part of our culture is to have a conversation,
Yes.
right? And so they're enjoying it, but being the center of attention is not necessarily something that they're always used to, right?
Yes. But
Yeah.
if you have those both those skills of being able to be part of a conversation and also being the one presenting, if you have both of those skills, I mean, that's amazing. How fantastic is
So
that?
it was interesting because what we learned with our Gambian co-facilitators is this tendency for their style of teaching is very lecture, and the students learn to lecture. And so what they wanted from us was to bring a more hands-on, activity-based kind of style of teaching. And that was one of the first conversations that they had with us when we arrived there was, listen, we know the way that we teach. what we understand your teaching styles to be is more of a group work, kind of hands-on. And so they really wanted to hear from us how we put that into our teaching. And so that was a really interesting part of the sharing of ideas with our co-facilitator.
Oh, that's so cool. So I have a question for you.
Eh,
You did it, you loved it, obviously. It was challenging. Would you consider participating again in the future?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's such a rich experience that there's it it enriches my life. It's enriching my students' lives. And I really feel like education is the great equalizer. I really came away from the experience with a renewed gratitude for the unions and teachers' unions in particular, and how much they've worked to ensure that we have a safe place to work, and that we are given tools to do our job the best we can. And I don't think I would have learned that if I hadn't gone to the Gambia.
So you encourage people, if they have that inkling, they should definitely apply.
Absolutely. If what I'm saying is appealing to you, I definitely highly recommend that you apply. Um, J'aimerais aussi lancer une invitation aux enseignantes et enseignants francophones. Euh, il y a un grand besoin de enseignantes et enseignants de la langue française.
Way.
I'm also willing to answer any questions. If anybody wants to reach out to ask me any questions, I believe there's going to be an email on this podcast.
Yes, we
And
can put Evelyn's email address. So if anybody has specific questions, we can put you in touch with Arla. Absolutely. Yes.
I'd like to just show off my Teaching Together 2025 t-shirt that we received the last day of every week-long workshop. There's always a culture day. And so we got t-shirts. You can see GTU, Gambia Teachers Union, CTF. I wear this t-shirt with pride.
Oh, Arla, sincerely, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
And I'd really like to thank QPAT for being a part of this and for sending me. It was the experience of a lifetime, and I'm so, so grateful. Thank you.
It's our absolute pleasure. Thank you, Arla.
Merci, Julie.
If you are interested in getting more information about Teaching Together, please visit the QPAT website or go on our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, for more information. Si vous êtes intéressé de vous porter volontaire au programme CTF FCE Enseigne ensemble, s'il vous plaît, visitez le site web de l'APEC ou encore allez sur notre plateforme de médias sociaux de Facebook et Instagram.